Good evening, everyone. We're about to start our board meeting. So good to see everyone out tonight. I know we have some celebrations, and I believe we have all of our board members here. This is great. Okay, Miss Medina is running a little late. All right. All right, so Dr. Marsden, would you lead us in the pledge?
It would be my pleasure. Please stand. Join us in the pledge. Ready? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. We will now move to item 1.3, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
It's been approved or it's been moved and properly second. We are now going to vote. So hold on one second. It did come up. So in here, I'm gonna have to click mine back. So this is our new section in here that we talked about in our last meeting. And our last meeting is we're going to be inclusive of our student board members. So this is where I'm going to ask the question about consent. And I got it. This is where I make the statement, right? But it's not. Okay, so this is the section where I'm asking also if there's any items that you wish to pull. If there are any changes to the agenda for any items for the consent list that the board wishes to discuss and vote on separately during the consent item session. So you will pull them now, and then we'll have the discussion so Karen can do that right now. Are there any items? Oh, okay, great. So let's vote.
Well,
Yes.
on what are we voting on right now?
So we just made it the agenda, and then any items you want to pull, then she's going to pull them right now.
Okay, well, I need to abstain from one and walk out of the
Okay.
room for that.
You know
so
the item?
I don't know what item it is.
All right.
Or
He has it.
TT.
Okay.
But I think just,
This is
you-
just,
you're gonna have to, you gotta do it, you can't do it a different way. You're going to do consent, the consent has to be its own item. We handle the consent the way we normally do, when somebody make a motion to,
right, I don't see that as this next agenda item. You would just
So,
pull an item.
right, so again, it's more of a procedural piece so that Karen has time to pull each item separately. So what you do is just pull those items you're referring to now,
Okay.
and then that way they're.
You will have it in
surfaced.
advance of us voting on a consent agenda, right?
It won't take as long as
Fair
it's
enough.
been taking.
but the big question gonna be, so when we get to consent for approval, you're not gonna ask us to pull them then?
Pulling them now. They're already
Can
being
I,
pulled.
can I ask why we're changing the procedure?
For the student board members, we discussed it and approved it last
Oh,
time.
that's right. Oh, and they're not here.
Also, so Ms. Cunningham has the ability to separate out each consent item
Oh,
to
As
to
it
help
said.
expedite
Okay.
your voting. So when you go to vote, she'll already have those ready for you to take individual action on. So for example, the two items that Mr. Gallo referred to, where he'll have to use himself,
One or two.
yeah, I believe there are two will be pulled, one or two.
which ones are they?
I can give that to you.
Should be only be TET. Karen, can you
Correct. So that would be
identify what item
Item
those are?
10.25.
10 point, yeah, you don't do 10.24, correct, Mr. Gallo? Just 10.25?
Just TET,
ET, yeah, that's it.
the only one I have a conflict on.
Again, just to be clear, we, as a board, you'd pull those items at the approval of your agenda so Karen can set them up. So when you get to consent, then it's just easier to take that action in our new process.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone clear? And we can go ahead and take the vote.
That's the part that's confusing.
No, I'm still not sure what we're voting on, but
Just the agenda and
pull
the,
the item.
yes,
Okay.
yes, that is, yes, correct.
Consideration as a,
You're approving the agenda, but it has the question about the consent items later on in the agenda. All right, motion carried. We are now at inspirational message, item 1.4, Dr. Margaret Hill.
Thank you, Madam President. As all of you know, this is American History Forever, but this is the month we use to celebrate Black history, which I hope we change that soon because we should be celebrating everybody's history. But until we get there, and hopefully we're working on it through ethnic studies, just want to share this with you, and it could apply to any ethnic group in this country. This is a story of a little boy named Theo, and I apologize if you heard this before, who woke up one morning and asked his mother, "Mom, what if there were no Black people in the world?" Well, his mother thought about that for a moment and then said, "Son, follow me around today, and let's just see what it would be like if there were no Black people in the world." Mom said, "Now go get dressed and we will get started." Theo ran to his room to put on his clothes and shoes. His mother took one look at him and said, "Theo, where are your shoes? And those clothes are all wrinkled, son. I must iron them." But when she reached for the ironing board, it was no longer there. You see, Sarah Boone invented the ironing board, and Jan Matzelinger invented the shoe lasting machine. "Oh, well," she said, "please go and do something to your hair." Theo ran in his room to comb his hair, but the comb was not there. Walter Salmons invented the comb. Theo decided to just brush his hair, but the brush was gone. You see, Lydia O. Newman invented the brush. Well, this was a sight. No shoes, wrinkled clothes, hair a mess, even Mom's hair, without the hair care inventions of Madam C.J. Walker. Well, you get the picture. Mom told Theo, "Let's do our chores around the house and then take a trip to the grocery store." Theo's job was to sweep the floor. He swept and swept and swept. When he reached for the dustpan, it was not there. You see, Lord P. Ray invented the dustpan. So he swept his pile of dirt over in the corner and left it there. He then decided to mop the floor, but the mop was gone. Thomas Stewart invented the mop. Theo yelled to his mom, "Mom, I'm not having any luck." "Well, son," she said, "let me finish washing these clothes and we will prepare a list for the grocery store." When the wash finished, she went to place the clothes in the dryer, but it was not there. George Salmon invented the clothes dryer. Mom asked Theo to go get a pencil and some paper to prepare their list for the market. So Theo ran for the paper and pencil, but noticed the pencil lead was broken. When he was out of luck because John Love invented the pencil sharpener. Mom reached for a pen, but it wasn't there because William Purvis invented the fountain pen. As a fact, Lee Burridge invented the typewriting machine and Lovett the advanced printing press. Theo and his mom decided to head out to the market. Well, when Theo opened the door, he noticed the grass was as high as he was tall. You see, the lawnmower was invented by John Burr. They made their way over to the car and found that it just wouldn't go. Richard Spikes invented the automatic gear shift, and Joseph Gamble invented the supercharged system for internal combustion engines. They noticed that the few cars that were moving were running into each other and having wrecks because there were no traffic signals. Garrett Morgan invented the traffic light. Well, it was getting late, so they walked to the market, got their groceries, and returned home. Just when they were about to put away the milk, eggs, and butter, they noticed the refrigerator was gone. John Standard invented the refrigerator, so they just left the food on the counter. By this time, Theo noticed he was getting mighty cold. Mom went to turn on the heat, and what do you know? Alice Parker invented the heating furnace. Even in the summertime, they would have been out of luck because Frederick Jones invented the air conditioner. It was almost time for Theo's father to arrive home. He takes the bus, but there was no bus because its precursor was the electric trolley, which was invented by Albert Robinson. He usually takes the elevator from his office on the 20th floor, but there was no elevator because Alexander Miles invented the elevator. He also usually dropped off the office mail at the nearby post mailbox, but it was no longer there because Philip Downing invented the letter drop mailbox and William Berry invented the postmarking and canceling machine. Theo and his mother sat at the kitchen table with their heads in their hands. When the father arrived, he asked, "Why are you sitting in the dark?" "Why?" "Because Lewis Howard Latimer invented the filament within the light bulb." Theo quickly learned what it would be like if there were no black people in the world. Not to mention, if he was ever sick and needed blood, Charles Drew found a way to preserve and store blood, which led to his starting the world's first blood bank. And what if a family member had to have heart surgery? That would not have been possible without Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, who performed the first open heart surgery. So if you ever wonder, like Theo, where would we be without black people? Well, it's pretty plain to see. We would still be in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. That was very inspirational and great connections. Wow.
Dr. Hill, that was not just inspirational like President Roger said, but while you were talking, my creative juices were working. Wouldn't that be great that we would have kids do murals, a mural of all of this? Wouldn't that be incredible? Somewhere or in all our schools or roll it out. I think that it would be visible, you know, and our kids, I mean, our art kids could do, I mean, our teachers and the kids, it would be a great project. Anyway, that's what I was thinking.
Thank you again.
Let's host some of them do it, okay.
We are now at item 2.1. The Board of Education is pleased to honor outstanding students, parents, grandparents, and staff from Rio Vista, Urbita, Warm Springs, and Wilson Elementary Schools and Chavez Middle School. The board wishes to recognize and thank these individuals for their outstanding accomplishment and commitment to making hope happen. Did I read your line?
Great. I'm Maria Garcia, Communications Officer. Would the Board of Education join us down front to honor students, parents, and grandparents? We cannot forget our staff. The board recognizes outstanding students to build self-esteem and honor excellence in academics, athletics, fine arts, citizenship, and most improvement. The board will also recognize outstanding parents, grandparents, volunteers, and employees. The San Bernardino Symphony provides free concert tickets to all student and parent award winners and their families to the concert of their choice. As we call each student honoree, would you, your family, and your teacher please come forward to greet the board and take a photo with our superintendent. After your photo, we ask that our outstanding students remain standing for a group photo with all the students from your school. Only the students need to stay for the group photo. After everyone from Chavez Middle School has been honored, all of the outstanding student award winners from all 4 schools are asked to join the photographer in the back of the room for one final group photo. Okay, here we go. Our first honorees are from Rio Vista Elementary School. Would Interim Principal Pat King join us? Karina Alvarado is a 6th grader in Kimberly Thomas's class. Would Karina, her teacher, and her proud parents, Yolanda Quintero and Rigoberto Alvarado, join us? Karina has a lot of personality and strong leadership skills. She uses sound judgment, which has helped her to achieve academically. Karina wants to become a teacher. We have Kimberly Thomas here? Okay. So we have another one of Kimberly Thomas's sixth graders. Would Bianca Ruelas please come forward with your proud parents, Jose and Maribel Ruelas? Bianca has an excellent work ethic and performs at high levels in all subjects. She is also a strong writer. She hopes to one day become a songwriter or a volleyball player. Next is fourth grader Jasmine Torres Miguel. Her proud mother is Vanessa Miguel. Would Jasmine, her mother, and her teacher, James Siriani, join us? Okay, looks like Jasmine is not here. While the outstanding students pose for a group photo in front of the selfie wall, let's welcome our next group of honorees. Would Outstanding Parent Award winner Yvette Rodriguez and her family please join us? Okay, I'll read a little bit about her. Yvette is a model parent. She's the PTO president and she makes sure to attend every meeting. Let's give her a round of applause. Arlise Esparza is the best at getting better. She is hardworking and willing to learn so she can provide the best customer service and office support possible. Her efforts are appreciated by her coworkers. Would Evelyn Machuca please come forward? Looks like Evelyn isn't here. She's a bilingual educator with strong classroom management skills, and she uses active teaching strategies to keep students engaged. And now, would Sarah B. McCain, principal of Urbita Elementary, please come forward? Would sixth grader Alexander Barrera, his proud parents Cristo Bocanegra and Armando Avalos, and Alexander's teacher Jennifer Guerrero please join us? Alexander is a gifted reader and rapper. He reads at the 12th grade level, and he enjoys creating rhymes that include academic vocabulary and figurative language. He also likes working out with his mom and grandfather and helping his classmates. Alexander hasn't decided what he wants to be because there are too many great choices. Leslie Guerrero is a third grader in Guadalupe Garcia's class. Would Leslie, her teacher, and Leslie's proud parents, Adelina Garcia and Giovanni Guerrero, please join us? Okay, it looks like Leslie is not here. Leslie's eager to read and she loves to help out in the classroom. Would fifth grader Isabella Zavala please join us? We also invite her proud mother, Adelina Colunga, and Isabella's teacher, Christian Weiser Orpineda, to join us. Isabella treats others with respect and kindness. She is a hard worker who does not give up. Those traits helped her win the school science fair and take second place at the district science fair. Isabella wants to major in psychology at Harvard or Yale. While the outstanding students pose for a group photo, let's welcome our next group of honorees. Maria Godinez is an Outstanding Parent Award winner. Would Maria and her family please join us? Maria is a regular volunteer at Urbita. She uses her skills in photography and graphic design to create school displays and make the school yearbook shine. She also volunteers many hours in the classroom and on field trips. Would outstanding grandparent Dina Wante and her family please join us? Dina volunteers almost every day. She chaperones field trips and helps out in many classrooms, not just her grandsons. She even supervises dismissal of kindergarten through second grade students to keep them safe. As an instructional tutor, LHPH, it's no surprise that Amber Ramirez Seabry is dedicated to helping others. Amber provides students with one-on-one instruction, organizes the school's food drive, heads the social committee, and so much more. She is a major reason for Urbita's positive school culture. Dual immersion teacher Lupe Garcia is always eager to help her students. Lupe is also eager to see her colleagues succeed. She spends a significant amount of time researching effective instructional strategies to improve her teaching, and she shares her knowledge by allowing other teachers to observe her in the classroom. And now we're going to welcome Warm Springs Elementary School and Principal Dr. Hoon Hib. The first Warm Springs honoree is sixth grader Reynaldo Marquez. Would Reynaldo and his proud parents, Sergio and Maria Marquez, please join us? We also invite Reynaldo's teacher, Patricia Nava Moser, to come forward. Reynaldo has made great improvements in his academics. He has especially shown a talent in math. He also is a model for good behavior. Reynaldo wants to join the Army after graduating from high school. Next is second grader Miguel Rodriguez. Would he and his proud parents, Elba Orozco and Miguel Rodriguez, please join us? Miguel excels in all academic areas. He reads, writes, and solves problems above his grade level in both English and Spanish. He is always willing to help out his classmates and his community. It is no surprise that Miguel wants to become a doctor so he can continue helping people. Next is Natalia Salazar Nevares, a third grader in Aaliyah Moore's class. Would Natalia, Aaliyah, and Natalia's proud parents, Yvonne Nevares and Lorenzo Salazar, please come forward? Natalia is a model student who displays great levels of maturity and leadership. She works very hard and has shown growth in English and a remarkable ability to grasp new concepts in math. Natalia doesn't know what she wants to be yet, but she has a lot of time to decide. While the students pose for a photo, let's invite outstanding parent Cristina Santana to come forward. Will Cristina's family also join us? Cristina is a valuable member of the Warm Springs Elementary School community. She is dedicated to the well-being of all children, not just her own. The school is a much better place because of her. Microcomputer Specialist 1, Luis Puebla's dedication to students goes beyond the workday. Luis offers after-school enrichment programs and participates in school and district events on the weekends. His emotional commitment is evident in everything he does. Would program facilitator Dr. Jennifer Allen please come forward? Looks like Jennifer isn't here, but Jennifer is being recognized because she is always willing to learn to better herself and her students. Thank you, Jennifer. And finally, we have Chavez Middle School. Would Chavez principal, Dr. Robert Morales, please come forward? We also invite any other members of the Chavez Middle School admin team to please come forward. Now let's welcome 8th grader Andy Azokar and his proud parents Abel and Zulema Azokar. Andy was nominated by his teacher, Michael Kors. Will all of you join us? Andy is self-motivated. He always sets positive goals for himself and works hard to reach them. He also has a global vision, looking beyond himself to support his peers. Andy wants to attend Cal Poly Pomona and become a computer engineer. And next up is 7th grader Tulsi Patel, who was nominated by her teacher, Laurel Rice. Would Tulsi, Laurel, and Tulsi's proud parents, Hitesh and Dharmi Patel, please join us? Tulsi excels in academics. She is also a trailblazer in her community because she continues to inspire and empower those around her. Tulsi wants to attend Stanford and enter the medical field to help others. Our final student honoree is 6th grader Bella Perpoli. Would Bella and her proud grandparents, Javier and Teresa Perpoli, and her teacher, Connie Jones, please join us? Bella personifies the International Baccalaureate spirit. She embodies all of the IB learner profiles. She consistently maintains high standards in citizenship and is at the top in academics. Bella wants to major in medicine at Harvard. While the students pose for a photo, will Dr. Reginald Woods and his family please come forward? Dr. Woods is an outstanding Chavez parent. He is a positive influence within not only the school, but the entire community. Not only does he attend a wide variety of stakeholder meetings, but he is active in addressing important issues across the Inland Empire. Let's give him a round of applause. And now, will outstanding grandparents Teresa and Javier Perpuli and their family please join us? Teresa and Javier strive to provide a nurturing environment for their granddaughter. They stress the importance of having a positive attitude, maintaining good grades, and having perfect attendance. Now we're going to recognize Custodian 1, David Dorado Sr. I don't see David coming forward, but he's being honored tonight for committing to supporting all students. He attends all boys and girls basketball games to cheer on Chavez students. Now we're recognizing IB teacher Laurel Rice. Laurel is dedicated to bettering the lives of her students. She inspires them to be independent, creative thinkers, and mentors them so they make positive decisions. Laurel also coordinates the Bright Futures event at Chavez. Her contributions to the school are invaluable. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give everyone recognized tonight another round of applause.
All right, we are resuming, I believe, our meeting. And we are now at item 2.2, resolution recognizing March as Arts Education Month. Dr. Flores, would you read for us, please?
Thank you. Before I start, I just would like everyone to know that this board has consistently supported the arts and have invested in our kids. And we're very proud to read this resolution on behalf of our teachers and our administrators and our students. Whereas arts education, which includes dance, music, theater, and the visual arts, is a vital part of basic education, providing a balanced education for students. And whereas the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District joins California in recognizing arts education as an essential part of basic education for all students, kindergarten through grade 12. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District joins the Joint Rules Committee of the California Senate and Assembly in recognizing March as Arts Education Month and encourages all schools in the district to celebrate the arts with meaningful student activities and programs that demonstrate learning and understanding of the visual and performing arts. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion? Not, let's vote. Motion carried. Item 3.1, are there any closed session comments, Dr. Marsden? At this time, we're at item 3.2. We will now adjourn for closed session, and we will return shortly. All right, we are back from closed session. And we are going to resume our meeting. We are now at item 4.1, approval of dismissal for HR Class 19-2012, HR Class 19-2013, HR Class 19-2014, HR Class 19-2015. Be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the notice of recommendation for disciplinary action and statements of charges to dismiss the following classified employees from his or her employment with the district. HR Class 19-2012. Can I take these all together? HR Class 19-2012, HR Class 19-2013, HR Class 19-2014, and HR Class 19-2015.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Give Karen a minute to get. And we will have a vote in a second here. There we go. Everyone should have your screen.
Madam President, I have to give a verbal yay. Aye.
Karen, did you capture that? Everyone else was able to? Motion carried. Thank you. Now moving to item 5.1. This is where student board members can report on their school sites, upcoming activities, and events. They may also share a comment, concern, and/or observation with the board members. And we have one of our student board members with us tonight.
Yeah, I got left alone today. It's okay though. Well, for today's comment, I found out I think maybe 2 weeks ago. It's been a while since I came to one of these meetings. But we finally have an on-site psychologist on campus. She was the former Gear Up coordinator for our high school year, 2020. So that's just something I'm really happy about. And I see that it was put on the agenda that we got the preferential vote, which I'm very grateful for. And I just wanted to see, it would be a good idea to see if there was some way where we can like discuss it, if that makes sense, so that it helps us understand better rather than reading it. Because I know if we're just like reading over what it is, we might have a few miscommunications or we might not fully understand. So if there was a way that we could discuss it or someone could help us. I know since I'm like speaking on myself, but I'm pretty sure Eric and Kayla would like that as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we may be able to assist you with that.
I believe it was referring to the part of 3, because then that way they can have a discussion with the board members, because, and I agreed with Dr. Flores, well, sometimes their voice is going to be lost within ours, but, excuse me, at the same time, this would give them an opportunity to actually have dialogue and listen, and then learn how to also speak up as well and have a voice with amongst the board members. And sometimes when board members talk, we kind of remember something that we wanted to say, or it triggers a certain conversation that they want to mention. I just want to make sure that if that's the case, they be part of that conversation as well.
I wonder if we can move can we move the consent items into their 5.2 as we have it listed here? Because when we move on to 5.2, that's where they have their preferential vote. I'm just wondering. And they want to have a dialogue, because I think in 5.2 is when the dialogue will take place, but we maybe can also have that conversation as well. I don't know if we can just move the whole consent item, is kind of what I was referring to in that area. Okay, so we're talking about two, but yes, we're gonna work it out. All right, thank you for those comments. So we will move to 5.2, and this is where it refers to the preferential vote. Student board members can cast a preferential vote prior to the board members' vote for certain items on the agenda. And I believe this is here where if you getting ready to go? Okay, no problem. So we will interact more on this, we'll dialogue more, but this is where the conversation probably will take place, where you can ask questions and the board members will be able to have a dialogue with you right there. Okay, so you can let the others know. Thank you. We are now at 6.1, public comments. Uh-oh.
Thank
It
you,
went away.
Madam President.
All right. Public comments is a time during the agenda when the Board of Education is prepared to receive comments from the public within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, such as policies, regulations, and procedures of the district, comments on programs, services, or operations of the district, or fiscal matters of the district. This is the only time the public will have an opportunity to address the board on items not on the agenda. When recognized, step to the podium, give your full name. Each individual will have no more than 5 minutes. If a group of 6 or more individuals wish to speak on one topic, you will be given 30 minutes. Please notate all names that will be speaking on the blue comment cards so appropriate time can be given. Speakers are cautioned that under California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding any person simply because these comments are made at a public meeting. Dr. Marsden?
Thank you, Madam President. Board welcomes Ms. Gina Mireles. Good evening and welcome.
Gracias. Me voy a dirigir hacia ustedes en español.
Un
Okay,
momento.
We are
permítame un
going to get
segundo,
a
van a venir
translator.
para traducir, interpretar.
¿Y dónde está el reloj para mantener tiempo?
What the time be though, she's asking. Okay, va a estar en la pantalla.
Si me lo pueden poner, por favor.
If you can put
Go
it
ahead.
on.
Yeah, don't wait on us. You go ahead.
Cuando comienzas va a
Ok.
comenzar la hora.
Me voy a dirigir hacia ustedes en español porque es el idioma que me enseñaron mis padres mexicanos.
I'm gonna
Yes.
I'm gonna talk to you guys in Spanish because it's the language that my parents taught me.
La segunda razón, porque yo era secretaria de LULAC cuando nos sentamos con con el grupo de personas que escogieron al doctor Marsden.
And also because I was the secretary and like when we sat at the meeting and we chose Mr. Marcel.
Y en ese tiempo nosotros recomendamos que se escogiera un superintendente que entendiera nuestro idioma para que se pudiera identificar con nuestra cultura.
Back then, we asked for a superintendent that could understand Spanish so that way he can identify with our culture.
Yo fui una empleada del distrito escolar de Etiwanda en la ciudad de Rancho Cucamonga por 10 años.
I was an employee at Etiwanda for 10 years.
Ahí pasé 5 años buenos y 5 años malos.
There I had 5 good years and 5 bad years.
Los primeros 5 años fue con una directora blanca del estado de Arkansas.
The first 5, it was with a principal from Arkansas. She was Caucasian.
Y los segundos 5 años fue con una directora negra de Compton que fue muy abusiva.
And and the other 5 years was with an African American principal that was very abusive.
Fui explotada y abusada
I was abused and exploited.
y puse una queja con el Departamento de Labor.
So I put a complaint on the Labor Department, with the U.S. Department Labor,
Y 3 quejas con la oportunidad, la Comisión de Oportunidad al nivel federal,
and 3 complaints with the Federal,
Equal Opportunity Commission.
the Federal Equal Opportunity Commission.
Ahorita estoy escribiendo un libro
Right now, I'm writing a book
sobre la criminalización de los mexicoamericanos en el condado de San Bernardino.
about the criminalization with the Mexican American in the San Bernardino County.
Este libro nomás se va a dirigir hacia el distrito escolar de Chaffee Joint Unified School District.
So this book is going to be focused only on the Chaffee.
Chaffee Joint Unified School District. La razón por eso es porque yo me crié en Ontario.
And the reason of that was because I was raised in Ontario.
When I was growing up in Ontario, the man that took care of me was my Mexican father that worked 2 jobs to keep his wife at home so that she could provide care for her children. The superintendent, the board members, the principal within the district never did anything for me. I was very quiet, submissive, and a very good student. I grew up in North Ontario on Humboldt, where at the age of 7, somebody wrote Beaner on my father's car because we were the only Mexican family living in that area. You could count the families. We were the Gonzaleses on Humboldt. 1 street over was the Francos. In early 70s, the demographics were completely different. I started working in South Ontario because my mother knew the owner of the grocery store, and that's how I started to associate with the Black Angels. The Black Angels, I associated with them in high school as well. And my experience with the Black Angels was a very positive one. According to Dr. Diego Vigil, a sociologist out of the University of Irvine, it was as if they were older brothers. Dr. Vigil is a gang expert and has written numerous books about the gang culture. I learned how to do taxes in the barrio because a Black Angel taught me how to do my taxes. When I needed advice regarding a class that I didn't like and wasn't happy with, it was a Black Angel that would tell me, well, you know what you need to do? You need to do this, and talk to the teacher, and that's what I would do. So my experience with the Black Angels was a very positive one. And I reached out to the Mexican Mafia in 2016, and I received the endorsement of the Mexican Mafia. They were very efficient. They came to my home, and they asked, what happened with the Etiwanda School District? And I gave them a 40-minute synopsis. I've contacted the Justice Department because according to the Justice Department, there are 400 Black Angels. Because there's so many, my book, I need to narrow it down. So I asked them, I only want ratified members of the Mexican Mafia, only that contact information, because in postage alone, it would be like $200 to contact 400 people. And they were very supportive. I want to also thank you for the opportunity to teach. Because due to my demeanor and me being so outspoken and being whatever it was that made Dr. Sean Judson the superintendent with the Etiwanda School District, he really blacklisted me. Here, everything has been different. And my experience has been different. And I know that because of the reputation that precedes me, it'll be different. And I just want to let you know that I'm really enjoying working with the students. I had never taught. I was a clerk for 5 years and a secretary for 5 years. And I especially like the bilingual classes because every time that I step into a bilingual class, I learned something. And a couple of weeks ago, I was in Alvarez's class, and I learned about the G, the 2 dots on top of the G, because I did not take Spanish grammar. I took Spanish literature because I was so fluent in the language. And I cheated myself because now when I type something in Spanish, I don't know the grammar, and it's not grammatically correct. And I think I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mireles. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Ask her, so I wanted to ask you, you were working in the other school district, now you're working in our school district, that's what you're
Yes,
saying?
I worked with the Etiwanda School District from 96 to 2006. And I
Okay,
started working with this school district in December of 2018. I've been here a year
okay.
and a few months. But I also do paralegal work, so I step out of the classroom. Like last spring, I stepped out of the classroom, only covered classes in Spanish. I'm only covered classes on Fridays.
So you're a teacher here?
Yes, I'm substitute teaching. Right now I'm at Lincoln Elementary. And I had never heard the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish, and it was beautiful because I don't remember what school I was when I heard the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish.
Thank you again. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for coming. Board welcomes Mr. Ray Culberson. Good evening, Mr. Culberson. Good to see you.
I'm Ray Culberson, the craziest, most controversial entrepreneur in education today. That's my new marketing line. But here, I'm going to say some things tonight that are going to make some of you guys nervous, make some of you guys a little concerned. This is what I want to say. On February 28th, we are inviting you to a salsa and cumbia night to come out to Entrepreneur High School for a live band who's going to play and bring our parents in. So we wanted to come by because you are the authorizing agency for Entrepreneur High School, and we want to invite you and leave you with some cards and some flyers. So if you want to come by, the band is really nice, 13-piece band. We're trying some new revolutionary things to bring parents into the environment. So on that night, from 8 to 12 on Friday night, you can stop by, see other constituents of San Bernardino, and come by and enjoy yourself. And so that's what this was about. And the other thing I want to say is that I haven't been here. This is beautiful. You guys did a great job. This is something that the community can be proud of. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place when I walked in here. So money well spent. So I'm going to leave these with the board secretary, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys got it. Come out to the school, and just remember that some of you guys cannot salsa and some of you guys cannot cumbia. So I know it's going to make you a little bit nervous.
I see.
Okay, thank you guys very much.
No, Dr. Volkemer's looking forward to this. Thank you, Mr. Culberson. Much appreciated.
But with the podium though, can you see all of us though? Back there, can you see all of us? Meaning from back there, can you see all the board members though?
This thing looks so huge. Like when you first walk in, it looks like you're in like an atrium auditorium. Big, big thing. This is beautiful. You guys did a good job. So I'm just telling you that. So I expect to see some of you guys out there. Some of you other
Thank you, Mr. Culberson. Those are all the comments tonight, board.
Abigail, are you suggesting that we couldn't see Dr. Hill over this counter? Is
The
that
thing
what
is that
you're
it's so high though, if you think about it, we take, when you see it online, you can only see our heads. So this is too
Scooting
high.
up. All right, thank you for those comments. We are now at item 7.1, San Bernardino Teachers Association. Welcome.
Good evening, President Rogers, Vice President Wyatt, Superintendent and Cabinet, and other esteemed board members. I am Ashley Vitas Alcala, President of the San Bernardino Teachers Association. And I just had one comment tonight on one of your action items, 11.2, which is regarding a boundary change for Emerton, Fairfax, and Cole Elementary. What's not listed on there is the effect that it will also have on Rodriguez Prep Academy. And I know we're at the beginning of this process, but I do want the board to seriously consider the unintended consequences of revising these boundaries and how that's going to affect that school as well. As you embark on this process, I know there will be town halls held after you open it up for hearing on March 3rd. So we just ask that you consider how that will impact our staffing and our students at those school sites.
Dr. Flores?
Yes, Ms. Alcala, can you share with us the results or the impact that you predict it will have, the effect in terms of staffing?
So we don't know all the intimate details yet, but as far as revising the boundaries for those elementaries to put fourth and fifth grade students back at those elementaries in order to open up more seats at Rodriguez for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, which now it's currently a 4th through 8th school. It would be strictly a middle school.
How many staff would that impact that are now fourth and fifth grade teachers?
It depends on how many students and where they're moved. We don't know exactly the numbers. If the numbers at Rodriguez are going to stay the same as they are now, or if because of the difference in elementary and secondary credentials, how that's going to impact the moves as well, depending on whether the students are all coming in at sixth grade or seventh and eighth grade.
I was gonna ask that question because I didn't see those numbers and I didn't see the impact in terms of credentials as well, in terms of space, in terms of the families that it's impacting, busing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, Ms. Christakis, those are questions that I have, for not now, but for when we
Yes.
have the hearing. I would like to know all of those particulars and probably more as we study it more. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Flores, we did talk about that, and they were prepared to be able to have a dialogue with us on all of those questions as well. So I think that's
tonight?
great. They can
Tonight?
answer, they probably will be able to answer some of them tonight because Dr. Wyatt and I knew some of those concerns definitely need to be answered.
Okay. So when are we going to do that?
It's an
Like
item.
to do it publicly?
With the item, when it comes up.
Item
it's-
comes
it's a-
up?
It's an
Okay.
item. It's
All
on the
right.
agenda.
Okay, all right.
All right, we are now at 7.2, California School Employees Association.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lourdes Cruz, staff with CSE Aid. And I just want to say thank you for working with us. We got our contracts ready and printed. So thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, for all of her work and doing all of this for us. And then we also would like to say that we have a really good relationship right now with the school district, and we really hope that we can continue to have those relationships. I know that there's a couple of grievances and other items that we're dealing with, but we're working together to ensure that our classified employees are taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7.3, Communication Workers of America. No update. Item 7.4, San Bernardino School Police Officers Association. All right. We're now at item 8.1, discussion of viability for a new general obligation bond.
Thank you, Madam President. It's our pleasure to present to you tonight. Ms. Christakis will provide you information on the viability of considering our new general obligation bond. She will introduce our guests tonight that are with us also.
Good evening, Board. Pleasure to be here to give you a facilities financial update. As you know, we have Mr. Pace, our Director of Facilities and Operations here, and Mr. Adam Bauer, our district's financial advisor. We'll go ahead and jump in. If we look at the objectives for this evening, I'd like to walk through that. We'll talk briefly about the recent accomplishments. You know, we gave a comprehensive report to the board last year. We're going to look at the capital funding review, master plan review, and the main reason we're doing this evening is we would like to explore a local voter opinion survey and to address future facility needs. And what this is it gauges the community's opinion related to a number of local needs, including traffic, safety, and school facilities, to see if in the future a bond, a GO bond may be feasible. And as you know, when we raise these local dollars, then we can access some of the state dollars, and we'll talk more about that as we move through. So that's the main objective of this evening's presentation. And then we'll talk about next steps. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pace.
So since our last facility update in March of last year, we'd like to highlight a few of the following accomplishments: securing state funding for the Advanced Technology Building at Pacific, which is part of a larger reimagination of the campus. Securing funding for the North Park improvements shown earlier in this presentation. Completed a comprehensive solar plan that will add solar panels to roughly 30 additional sites. And we recently have completed several projects that include this building and artificial field surfaces at all of our high schools. As Janie mentioned earlier, a key component to securing state funding for facility funds is the ability to raise local matching funds, and our community has demonstrated its support in this idea with the successful passage of Measure T and Measure N in 2004 and 2012.
This next slide is a review of our capital funding. As you'll recall, last year, the board took a step to leverage local dollars, so our redevelopment dollars, to do financing, a COP financing, to help with our facility needs. And you know, not all districts are in a position to be able to do this, so it just really shows the board's commitment to use all available dollars to ensure that our facilities are safe and in good repair, and that using dollars that we have to pay back through the general fund was a step that the board takes. So it's not always depending on the local taxpayers to raise dollars. And then we anticipate about $62 million in state funding. We still have $44 million in our Measure N, and then projected developer fees. All of this was part of the facility plan that you approved last spring.
We wanted to highlight those initiatives and projects that we approved last year, this time in March. We identified over 50 projects that would modernize existing facilities, fund energy, safety, and athletic improvements, and they total, like Janie said, roughly $200 million worth of projects.
And then, board, as you recall, there's a number of long-term unfunded needs as well, and each year those needs grow as some of our school sites become eligible for modernization and other state requirements. As you know, the late start will require significant investments in lighting for our athletic fields. And so Tom's team does a great job in keeping up with updating the facility plan. We will also bring the board subcommittee together to look at some of those changes and then update the entire board. But here are some of the items that are unfunded as of this point. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bauer.
Excuse me. On the next page, we begin looking at, for that $500 million list of unfunded projects, how could we go about funding some of those? And when we look at 2020 general obligation bond elections, we've looked at several different tax rates. We've looked at $30 per $100,000 of assessed value, $45, and then $60. To the right of that, we show how much would the GO bonds generate with that tax rate over a series of 8 to 10 years. And we show those numbers ranging from $155 million to $310 million. It's important to note that that's not money all generated for projects. That includes costs in there for cost of issuance. And then to the right of that, we show the potential state money. So should the district have local dollars, there's matching funds available at the state, and we show that there with the $156 million. The next column, what we're showing there is the total project funding when you add the state dollars and the GO bond. And to the far right, what we're showing there is the repayment. So for $309 million to $463 million in projects, how much is the local community repaying of that? And so we show the debt service for the GO bond there. On the next slide, we have quite a bit we're showing here, but we break out each of those scenarios in a little more detail. So the orange column, the $30 tax rate, we show what $155 million looks like. We've assumed a 4% growth factor in your assessed value. We've assumed 4 bond issuances, so not all the money is available at once, it's available over time, and we show how that breaks out. A lot like your bond program that you have now, we show a series every 2 to 3 years, And for the 39 or the $30 tax rate, we show somewhere between 38 and $39 million for each one of the series. And once again, there's state money that lines up with these as well. This is just for the GeoBond portion. And then below that, we look at how long would we issue each series, no more than 30 years, and how much is your community paying for those GeoBonds. And we're showing about a 1.93 repayment ratio. A typical home mortgage has about 2 to 1, so it puts some of that in perspective. The maximum you're allowed to go out for is a 4 to 1 repayment ratio, so well below those types of numbers. But what does that really mean to your taxpayers? Should the board put a measure on the ballot and then voters come out and support it? With a $30 tax rate, we looked at what is a typical homeowner as far as assessed value goes, and we're at about $168,160. So keep in mind, this is not what you see homes selling for today. This is what the assessor uses for the assessor role. And so for homes that haven't turned over in a large number of years, they have a much lower assessed value. Your median within your district boundaries is the $168,000 that I referenced. And so for a $30 tax rate, that homeowner is paying $50.45 per year. And to the right of that, with the $45 scenario, that group of homeowners would be paying $75.67. And then finally, if we are able to pursue the maximum amount allowed, that would be $100.90. One thing to also look at here is the state matching funds also are not included in this. But on the next page, what we do there is show a little more detail of a typical tax bill. And so for the first section here, every home, every taxable piece of property has a 1% county levy. And that gets distributed amongst a number of different governmental entities. But then we have the water district, which has an item on the bill, the community college district, and then finally the one highlighted in yellow is your district. And so currently, the median homeowner is paying $162.95 to the district. But what would so any measure, any GeoBond measure that the voters would have approved would be in addition to that. And so we've detailed below that is how much would these different tax rates be in addition to what they're being levied today. Now, a few things to point out here is, one is the district in the past has taken advantage of refunding opportunities, and that's why your tax rate's as low as it is, given the amount of measures that you have outstanding. But the district also has refundings that it could undertake now. And so one of the things we started looking at with district staff is refinancing some of the existing GeoBonds and providing your taxpayer savings. To date, we are projecting that you can generate $7 million over the next 18 years. Savings, that's correct. And then where does that money go and who gets that savings? It's the taxpayers get that savings. And a typical taxpayer will achieve $62 over that 18 years. So it takes some time for them to get that savings, and it's not that much because it's spread over a lot of different homes, but the typical homeowner would save $62 looking at those refinancings.
If I can, it's just right here, Mr. Tillman?
No, I just want to, I just want to make sure we clarify when we're talking about the money. It is cumulative, and I think sometimes we lose the sight of that message. I remember when we did the first bond, and the talk was $25 per $100,000 with assessed value. But as the gentleman just stated, if you look at a bill, I have two bills in front of me. So one is for assessed value of $123,000, and the district's portion right now is $119. You would add a little more than $30 to that. Problem is, you have all the rest of these people who are adding money also. So my time campaigning door to door, the one thing that wasn't solicited that I hear from people, older people, is the fact that you guys are charging us more and more money on our tax bill. It's hard to keep paying these increased taxes on a fixed income. So I just hope that we take into account. I'm all for it when we have items that are that we need, and then we can make the case for asking for the additional money, because it is a hardship for people to pay this additional money. I think the problem we have right now is none of the entities talk to each other. So we could have the community college board right now talking about doing their own bill bond. The water district could be talking about doing it. And that's what the problem, my concern is right now. At some point, the taxpayers and the public are gonna be upset that they're losing control of, how much money we're, making them pay. And when we talk about the survey is gonna be to find out, can we get the votes and can we pass it? The survey doesn't talk to people in terms of, do you have a hard time paying for this, and is it a hardship for you? If we increase the amount, you're gonna have to pay. It's just a strategy on passing the bond, and the people that are gonna have the hardship, if you're campaigning, you just don't contact those people, but it doesn't help them. And this is something I heard over and over again when I was meeting with the public. So if we're gonna do it, you gotta be real concerned about it. We also have some bonds we haven't issued yet, past bonds. When we issue those bonds, that means that these bills that we have right now are gonna go up, even without additional, us passing additional, bond measures, because we haven't issued all the bonds from the previous measures, right?
So it's correct, sir, to say that we have not issued all the bonds from the previous measure, but it was anticipated that those would be layered in. So we're trying to maintain a consistent tax rate. So it might go up a little bit from this amount because we've had such high assessed value growth that the tax rate's dropped below what we projected, but it's not projected to go substantially above where it's at now. We anticipated layering in a series of bonds and maintaining a consistent tax rate over the term of the bonds.
So my only point is, they're gonna have, their tax bill is gonna go up. That's what my concern. Thank you.
Mr. Gallo?
Yeah, the comment that I have is that we would prioritize these items. I know we got a list and we've got some facility items, but you know, I place maybe more importance on things that would actually help us develop a quality education over, say, maybe office modifications and those kinds of things. So I'm just thinking we probably would want to prioritize these things to see what we could get the biggest bang for the buck, so the community gains the most value from it. You know, having a really nice looking office it's nice, and it creates, believe me, I'm in favor of that, and you know, having welcoming facilities, et cetera. But there's a point where I think maybe investment in like the science labs that I saw, and some of the things that I think would yield benefit for our students would be the things I would probably want to prioritize and talk about. But,
Those are really great comments, Mr. Gallows. Part of when we talk about the admin, though, is making sure the single point of entry, health offices, and other things.
security
but certainly
and-
security
right,
and all that. So it's
and,
not
and
just.
I get it. I know
okay.
I know it's not just a fresh look. But I don't know. In my mind, I'm prioritizing, you know, those guys. Obviously, the security stuff is really important.
And even if we decided late, you know, to pursue the highest rate, well, on the previous slide, there still would be prioritization that would have to occur. There's
But
never
that's
enough
my
money.
only comment.
Absolutely.
I'm not opposed by any.
Thank you. Dr. Wyatt? Dr. Hill?
Thank you, Madam President. And you know, after going back east and seeing the beautiful schools back there, and then coming back here saying what's wrong with us, I'm certainly not one to recommend we raise taxes. And I know Dr. Morrison just made the comment, we are paying more in our taxes for water than we are for educating our kids. And sure, we have to take a shower, we want to drink some water, but we also got to educate our kids. So I'm just going to, I'm supportive of what you're doing. I don't know how we can do anything without raising the taxes. So pretty much support the bond, and I'm usually not one to sit here and say that, but I know if you don't have the money, you're not going to get stuff done. So I think our students deserve better. Our teachers deserve really nice rooms to work in and educate our kids. And, you know, again, we need to be providing. It's just like this building we need to be providing a place where kids want to run to and not drop out of. You can only do that by improving what we have. And we have a lot of stuff to improve in this district. Thank you.
Dr. Flores?
Yes, I have two requests. One, if Prop 13 passes, what is the projected amount that our district would be benefit from? And is it equivalent to the 500 million that we need over a span of, I don't know, Janie, how many years are we going to get the 13 billion?
I'm going to ask Tom, but one thing I wanted to just add is he'll give us the amount, but you still have to have the local match, even.
We would have to have the local
You have to
match.
have the local match. But
So,
Tom can
and this is what the bond would do?
yes, and
Okay,
Tom
so in order to get the amount that you're projecting, then we would have to have a local match. So it would double or no?
we would stay at the most we would look at. And first, what we want to do is just survey the community to bring you back sentiment and what they're feeling at this point. But the legal limit is $60 per.
I saw that.
And so
So
that
are you
would-
going to ask I agree with Danny. Do they know the impact on their tax base? Are you going to ask, would you be for a $30 raise, a 75 or a 60? Are we going to ask that in the survey, or are we just going to say, are you willing to pay more?
So many surveys would be established that you would test your taxpayer sensitivity first and ask, are they familiar with what they've had on the tax bills in the past? And then see how that impacts any additional measures. And then the typical approach would be to start with a higher number. So in this case, if we use these numbers here, start by asking at 60, then go down to 45 and then 30, and see the sensitivity of your community and where they'd be willing to support you at.
Okay, so I would be for, surveying our population. They've been really good ever since I've been on the board. Our community has supported our, investing in our schools. And it isn't just to have pretty offices, it's to, shore up, the pipes, all the infrastructure that we have. It's just not that, to have beautiful buildings. It's to, keep the upkeep of our buildings, and also, in terms of our science labs, in terms of, all the things that, our kids deserve. So in that respect, I agree with Dr. Hill. We need to support, we need to take the bold step to make the decision, provide this, and it's incremental. It's not all at once, correct? I think you need.
Yes, and so I'll answer a couple of your questions. We'll go back and talk about state
Right.
eligibility real quick. So under Proposition 13,
Right,
should it pass, the district will actually benefit from a greater percentage of state funds as they are increasing the modernization and new construction amounts for districts that serve local communities like ours. And that'll
Right.
go from 60 to 65 and 50 to 55%. And our
you're saying
eligibility,
that because of our population, we would get an additional amount.
Correct.
Besides the matching.
and so we roughly look at our state eligibility for the next 10 years, and we look at buildings that are 25 years or older. So every year we update what that looks like moving forward in 10 years. And our state eligibility is roughly $156 million under Proposition 13, and that is a very conservative number. We think that we're positioned to go higher, but we want to show the board a conservative, realistic number that we know we can achieve.
Okay, thank you so much.
Ms. Medina?
All right, and I do agree with with Mr. Tillman regarding how many of our families are on fixed income, and this is and even those that are part of our senior community are living on a pension that does not increase. And so when you look at that, we have to really be mindful of property taxes and any other additional expenses that they might not be able to afford, even if it's that small amount. Now, I did have a conversation with Darrell Peden, he's a Moreno Valley School Board member, and he had proposed, and I believe, from my understanding, that it's on the ballot in November of this year, is to actually look at warehouses. And they're looking at 35 cents per square foot, and that would generate them $20 million. So I'm wondering, instead of bringing this back to our own residents and looking maybe at the warehouses directly, and then we can investigate what Moreno Valley is doing and how are they able to, if they were able to put on the ballot and bring in those extra funds.
Is the additional cost for warehousing a school fee when they're constructed? So in a lot of cases, whether it's residential or commercial, if a district passes a fee justification study, and they can levy a fee at that point in time, and your district does that as well. But given a number of warehouses that have gone on around March Air Force Base and in the southern part of Moreno Valley, I suspect what's being referenced there is passing a fee study so that they can then levy on the new development. And we work with Moreno Valley USD, and to the best of my knowledge, they have not begun on a November measure.
Well, I guess that was the intention. And so then what can we do? Because that is another way to try to look at, I mean, just having other innovative ideas of not necessarily just putting that cost to residents and actually making sure that the warehouses are paying their fair share, because from my understanding, they're not.
So we currently levy commercial fees against all commercial development within the district. So warehouses that are built within the district pay a commercial fee that's statutory in nature. So the State Allocation Board every 2 years passes what that commercial fee is. We are currently levying that fee. You agreed to that at the last board meeting. As far as other ways of looking for funding, the one thing we'll commend this board about, we are very diligent about finding other sources of funding so that we don't pass them on to the local taxpayer. And I think even the discussion of refinancing our existing bonds for $7 million, I think shows the steps that you do take in the transparency and the protection of local taxpayers.
Just for my benefit, I just want to make sure that we're looking into that. And if you can research and see if there's a possibility, we can do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board, are we good? Any other questions? All right, Ms. Christakos?
Yeah, maybe just one more, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Abigail, but can there be provisions for like exempting fixed income, senior citizen, to some dollar value that they can petition and add some exemption for? Can citizens do that, or this is just assessed property value and that's it?
For a district-wide general obligation bond measure, all assessed value would be taxed. There's no exemptions provided.
Okay.
So, board, what we'd like is just to see if we have a thumbs up to do the opinion survey. That was really the purpose of this presentation, was to start with that. What we would do is bring that results to you in April, and then we could determine next steps from there. So if it's favorable and the board would like to move forward with the GEO bond, we would contract for a communications consultant that works in conjunction with Ms. Bardier to start because it is getting late in the year, but to start that campaign around pursuing a GEO bond, and then you can see the other steps. Those are the steps we would take after the voter survey and the board's consideration. And so I'm just looking for direction.
So board, we're looking for a consensus to move forward on the survey part. Dr. Flores?
I agree.
Okay. Everyone just gathering, Dr. Hill?
I just want to make sure we are surveying homeowners and not apartment renters. or people who are renting homes, because, you know, if they're not paying the taxes, they might say, yes, fine with me, because they don't have to pay it. But let's make sure we're surveying homeowners.
Unless given direction, different direction from the board or the district, the independent survey consultants look to get a stratified sample of your community. And so they're trying to mirror how many would be likely renters, how many would be homeowners, how many have a Democrat living with a Democrat, and they're trying to get these different categories of people. And so that way it matches what your likely voter subset would be. And so they try to do it that way. And if they were to go against that type of approach, their results would not be statistically reliable. And so that's the preferred approach. Now, they can certainly make adjustments to that, but that's what we've seen them do throughout the state.
Mr. Tillman?
Just to be clear, this is, what you're looking at moving forward on is someone looking at the potential for this to be successfully voted for. So they're going to be contacting voters. It's no different than any other campaign. You're looking at what the numbers are going to be and what the likelihood of the high propensity voters, how they're going to respond to a bond. And if they say, how many are going to say, yeah, I'll vote for it. But no way is it looking to get a sense for whether you're a homeowner or not a homeowner. That's not involved. It's just a matter of registered voters. And which probably presents a problem too, because a lot of the people who own homes probably don't vote. So they won't be speaking anyway. They don't realize that, you know, by not voting, that they're deferring to allow other people to increase their taxes.
Madam President?
Yes.
So I agree to a certain extent. So then can we have two different type of surveys? One is where it reaches the voters, but the other piece, I do agree with Dr. Hill, is that we have to have at least some consideration of what the homeowners are feeling. At the end of the day, they're the ones that's going to be impacted. And so I do want to do something where it's just them and we're able to see a different report and getting their perspective on how they feel. The other one is to see if it can pass, which what you're referring to is at the end of the day, you're going to look at if it's going to pass or not. But at the same time, I do want to really consider the homeowners.
Mr. Tillman?
Just remember, everyone pays property taxes, whether directly or indirectly. If you're renting in an apartment, the owner of that property is paying property taxes, and he's built in those tax amounts into your rent. So even when you pass a bond like this and it increases the taxes for the apartment complex, their rents will go up to pay for the increased taxes. They're not going to eat that. So the reality of it is everyone who is paying to live in a dwelling in our district is paying property taxes either directly or indirectly.
Well, hence why I don't know what you would do with the data from a homeowner.
No, he does make sense, though.
What would
get
you
what you're
do
saying.
with that data?
And it's just not residential, it's also commercial, right? Business?
Yeah. If there was a registered voter of commercial property within your boundaries.
But I'm saying that the tax base would also include commercial,
Yes, ma'am. All residential and commercial property.
commercial property.
So is it consensus to move forward with the survey?
I wouldn't move forward because I don't want to, I haven't seen no list on here to move me to say we should do another bond. Because I haven't heard a discussion on how much is too much. Well, if they say, let's do a bond for $2 billion and they're going to increase it $200, would you guys say that's too much? We're it. If we don't have a number that we think is too high, there won't be a limit. The limit will be when the taxpayers get so mad they revolt and you end up with the old-fashioned, not the new one, but the old-fashioned Prop 13. That's what causes it. So I just have to be careful when you do.
What I saw is that the cost of 500 million was the max
$60.
for all of the things that we have needs for the next 10 years.
Just,
$60 per 100,000 is
Right.
the legal limit we can.
Is the limit.
And
On the
Adam,
slide.
remember, that's the $60 plus what we're already doing. And it's a lot of money.
But the survey is going to start at 60 and then go to 45 and then go to 30.
Well, I
See.
can tell you right now, the survey is going to tell you that the people will pass it.
Right, but I mean,
But there's a,
we'll get a sense of what they're willing to do. Maybe they're not willing to do any of it.
but there is a disconnect. When I go to the house and I hit the house with the lady who says, I'm trying to retire, but I can't because you guys keep increasing the property tax bill, that's the reality of it. And we lose sight of that because you're just going by whether or not somebody's going to vote for it or not. When I talk to people in those houses, you feel the pain. If we keep increasing it, and I just showed you, you got property, the base tax is $1,200, and with all the special assessments, this is a house for $100,000. You add another $500. So when a person has to pay the extra money in December and April the 10th, it does add up.
Okay, I'm not really hearing a full consensus, so I'm trying to understand, do we want to get the survey and then continue the dialogue?
I think it should be a motion.
It,
I'd like to make a motion that we continue with getting a survey.
I second it.
all right, there's a motion and there's a second. And Mr. Gallo, did you have some
I think
discussion?
I was just going to make one other comment. Again, my prior comment on ensuring that we're doing things that are actually enhancing the economic potential of our students and quality of their education, et cetera, because that's quite frankly how we're going to build this city and make it go forward. It's going to take an investment to do that. I'd like to put it to the voters and see if they agree that it's a priority investment for our city to invest in these very specific things. And I'd like to outline them very specifically so that they got a real sense of what they're buying with it. You know, these are generic categories, some of these things, but I'd really like them to get a sense of the good work that we're doing with the money that we are expending, and that it is actually creating value that can be translated to economic value for our students and families. So, I'm all in favor for it, and I see it as an investment strategy. I agree. We're all paying too much taxes. It never ends. We get people just adding billions and billions, including this, where in November, well, actually March and November, we're going to vote on more bonds. So from all kinds of entities.
All right.
Yeah,
Dr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Madam President, and I'd motion to Mr. Pace over there to go back to the slide that we were looking at, in agreement with Mr. Gallo and what he's saying. Obviously, these are areas that are long-term unfunded that we've identified, and maybe what you're asking for is more specificity on some of those items.
Yeah, and I think just from a standpoint of giving people a sense, like I see things like
Prioritize as well.
science labs, and I see other things that are, in my mind, maybe less priority, but just what can translate to actual economic value for our students and families. That's how I'd look at this.
Okay, so with that said, then, Ms. Christakis, we would be able to come back, assuming if the bond was approved, and look at this list and prioritize as a board
Yes.
what we'd like to see done.
It'd be similar to what we did last year. We'd have the board subcommittee and then bring it together for the entire board, once we gauge what's acceptable to the voters.
All right, thank you.
Madam President?
Dr. Flores?
I was just thinking about what we were saying for $60, and I was thinking about my dad and my mom. And, they would save, $5, there's 12 months in a year, so it'd be $5 a month in terms of, just investing. Then my mom is 97 years old, and she still saves like $20 a month, just in case, for emergencies. And she's on a fixed income. So when they do pass bonds, she does vote for it. And she's 97 years old. And she says it's for the education of children. And she says, I can tighten myself $5, a month, because I'm saving 20. So that means I only save 15. And so that's her logic. That's my mom's
All right, thank you.
mathematical logic.
Thank you. And again, this is just to move forward with a survey. I'm sure there will be more dialogue. We will also get an opportunity, maybe even have a workshop, whatever it takes to make sure that we're making the right decision. So we are not making a decision tonight, and I don't even want the public to think that that's where it's going. We value their input, and then further, the more information we know, we can make a better decision, because we know many of those things on that list is important. So do we need to do a vote?
I just want to make sure that we do look into those alternatives, and like I mentioned with the commercial and the warehouses, in ensuring that if we can try to exhaust that first, and if they're saying, we cannot do anything right now, then I would move. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it unless I find out, for sure.
All right, we're going to take a voice vote, and you're going to bring it up? Okay, great. We talked her into it. All right, motion carried. All right, we are now at item 9.1, board members. And we will start with, thank you so much for your report. I'm sorry, things went kind of
Good job.
awry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we will be dialoguing again soon, but thank you for that. All right, Mrs. Medina, we'll start with you.
I just got word that, and I want to appreciate Ashley Acala for sharing this, supporting LGBTQ and students, that SBTA, our school district staff training series. They will be having a series training on Thursday and Friday this week, and she sent me information of what that will look like. I think that's a great step. Also, Human Rights Campaign is joining with that training. So if you're if you want to attend, I can send you the screenshot that I have. It's Thursday, February the 20th. They have it's from 8 to 11 o'clock, and then they have 11:30 to 2:30, and then they also have it again on Friday, February the 21st, same times. And what I do want to find out, though, is are classified or are guest teachers included within that training? Because I know that some of the complaints has been where we've offered training for our teachers, but exclude our guest teachers. I want to try to see if we have our guest teachers that can also attend this training as well. And other than that, good,
Great.
thank you.
And I believe Dr. Volkermer is capturing that. Dr. Flores?
Thank you, Madam President. We just got a couple of board correspondences and on the Latino Task Force and the African American Task Force. I would like to request that we have a formal presentation and an update. I would like more specifics. And specifically the Latino Task Force, I think from the last, not next meeting, but the next meeting after that, we are going to move into a plan of action. So I would like us to probably have that presentation in May or 1st of June. I don't know, we have to ask Dr. Mitchell when that's possible. And also, we got an important, very important board correspondence that's very thick, and it's impossible for me to read tonight. So I would like a formal report, given that this board has asked for grades, the status of DNF grades in comparison. I think we need to have a formal report on that. It's been one of our initiatives, and I think we've spent quite a bit of money with Doug Reeves. I would like to see what the results are of that. And so that's number 2 request. And then, Office left and Dr. Marsden left, okay.
Catherine.
Okay, but Dr. Volkemer's here. Okay.
It's dual role.
The third request is I would like have a discussion on the TIG, more specific analysis of the TIG money. It's very general, and I'd like to know where it's going. So, and also the results of that. And those are my comments.
Thank you. Dr. Hill?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to share a couple of things. Last week, there were a few young women and one young man who received their LVN nursing certificate, and I just want to congratulate them for going into a field where there's a big need, especially people with compassion. I want to congratulate the Inland Career Education Center for doing such a good job in recognizing those young people. Second and last Saturday before last, we had our 37th meaning my sorority, and just want to give thanks to those of you who were judges this year. Dr. Volkemer, you were able to sit in. Thank you. Mr. Tillman, Dr. Wyatt, Mr. Rogers, and no one else. But then I know all of you have done it in the past. So just want to say thank you. Appreciate you giving the coaches a stipend. We had a record crowd for our 3rd and 4th graders. I was sitting near the back door looking for the fire marshal because I knew if he came in, they were going to close us down. There were so many people there. So we're looking for a larger venue for next year. I'm sure Ms. Dowd is going to talk about our trip to Atlanta, observing our school being recognized. I appreciate everything that Cabinet, Superintendent, and others are doing, and my fellow board members as we come together with lengthy discussions on where do we go next. And I'm sure when we get there, we're going to all be happy. But I also want to make a request, and I know Dr. Flores talked about this lengthy report. What I like for us to do between now and our second meeting in March for our comprehensive high schools, or traditional high schools actually, our traditional high schools along with middle college, it would be good if the principals could come in and tell us where they are with their 2020 graduates, and just let us know who's graduating and who's not. Because I think it's something that our parents need to hear, students need to hear, and I don't think we need to wait until May to get the telephone calls when we can't do anything. But I think, they only have to spend 5 minutes talking to us, and maybe that could be one of our administrative presentations. Just have them come in and just say where they are, how many graduates they anticipate, how many on schedule, and what they're doing about those who are not on schedule to graduate. So that I'd rather for the parents to call me in March when there's a little bit of hope than to call me in May when all I can say is, pray. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Madam President, and just looking over my notes here. Probably will echo a few things that many of our colleagues up here will say and had attended these last couple of weeks. A lot going on in our district, as always, a lot of great things. And, saw an article and just want to compliment Dr. Marlene Bikendova and her team with working with Moreno Valley Unified School District on their bully prevention program, as well as their continued efforts within addressing bullying in our own district. As we know, bullying is a pervasive issue that's everywhere, but it's really nice when another district is saying, hey, we like what you're doing, can you help us out? So we're in it together as districts on obviously attacking and trying to get this bullying issue minimized. Also had another event we attended, myself and our board president, Ms. Rogers, with Assemblywoman Elias Reyes and Dr. Menares and Dr. Lundy and Ms. Naderia, the Autism Society in Valley College, and IRC, I believe, was there too, on the parent workshop that they had at Valley College for parents of students with disabilities as well as the general public. And I think it was a huge first step towards working and building relationships with our community and a collaborative relationship with many service providers, again, working together to provide programs of excellence for our students with disabilities. Dr. Hill already talked about our African American Black History Bee, but I also wanted to just say congratulations to North Park Elementary, since that's the group that I got to judge, was the elementary group on a very spirited and far school formerly known as Title I. And then I'm not sure exactly on the national competition, but I saw that Cajon High School cheer won a national championship. Maybe somebody could elaborate a little bit more on that. Dr. Volkmer said he will, but wow, I think that's quite an achievement. But great job to Cajon cheer, and of course, my kids both being Cowboys, that's pretty exciting for us. So that is it for me. Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thanks for providing the DNF reports. Look at some of those. I see some of our schools are doing really great, just small, low, single-digit combinations, Ds and Fs. And then I see some of our schools are actually pushing 50% on Ds and Fs in some subject matters. And I'm sure we've got a strategy on how we can address those. And I know that's why you guys are providing us the data. I really appreciate that. And it might be good to get a briefing at some point in time on how our strategies are going at the various schools that we seem to be, struggling with and seeing that. So, thank you.
Mr. Tillman?
Yes, want to commend Dr. Hill and the rest of her sorority sisters on a great Black History Bee. My daughter through Savant, they participated, but I just told her it's just great to see the students not only compete, but just the information you're allowing them to learn is going to just build up their self-esteem. And they don't realize how it's going to affect them. To have all that information internalized is a big deal. So I want to commend you all on the work that you're doing. And I want to give a thanks out to Dr. Greer for helping coordinate a bus that we used to take to the Black College Expo, and took a number of students. And it's always a great event. A lot of opportunity, a lot of internships offered there, a lot of colleges offering scholarships. So it's always beneficial. And I just hope that we continue to make sure that, and it goes back to the same thing, for the students that have great GPAs, they're really missing out if they don't go to the Black College Expo. And I really think that our district needs to make sure that we notify the parents of the opportunity so they can go there and take advantage of all the scholarships and internships that are there. Thank you.
Thank you. And I won't repeat, I was able to just check off things there, but I will say that from the community and teachers and everyone that was involved in the bee sent word back, thank you to the board for the support to be able to have those teams put together. It was, again, the board looking at a need and filling that need, and instantly you saw the results. So they complimented the board, and I did want to bring that message back that we put our money in a good place. And we talk about ethnic studies, and I think I mentioned to Dr. Hill, I said, well, this is another way. I mean, coming from the Latino Bee and seeing the work that was done over there, that was outstanding. And then looking over here, putting some more funding there, seeing our students are learning. And that's what we want to do, is close those gaps until we can get it together on whatever side that makes it right. And I know, Dr. Flores, you said you had a book you wanted to share as well. I do want to thank Dr. Mitchell, and we did discuss the need for this report of the information, but again, a presentation to come but we want to make sure that as we are waiting for presentations, that we're staying on top of what's happening almost in real time to be able to say, where are our kids faring? Because come May, we'll all be on the stages shaking the hands of those that made it. But my concern is about who are the ones that are not making it right now, and what kind of input can we provide to ensure that if there's some people, some students we need to pull along that can make it, then we're looking then and not later. So thank you it's a lot of information, as you've mentioned, Dr. Flores, but then we can dig through, and then that presentation, as you mentioned, Dr. Mitchell, you did say that you can come back with a presentation in a presentation form, which I think is great. I also want to, I know in the district, it happened at Pacific, I think at San Bernardino High School. ThinkWise Credit Union puts on a bite of reality. Some of you may have seen it if you're familiar with the Poverty Symposium. It's the total opposite of that. It's where the kids get an opportunity to delve into the finances. They get a certain amount of money to start with. At the end, they're taught how to spend it. Right now, again, just like we're tackling the ethnic studies, until we can get financial literacy in, we have to be creative with those that are willing to come in and support and help our students learn how to manage money, how to manage finances, because we can educate them on the book side of it, but there's some things that has been taken out that they don't have, and they're unable to get those tools, and I think we can fill those as well. Also, a community member made mention, I'm so happy to hear that our student is doing better, our Del Rosa student. They did ask the question about the crossing guard situation there. I made mention that I know at one point in time, we did talk to the city of San Bernardino about, their responsibilities. So I think we need to continue to revisit that, especially with our Education Bridge Committee. We need some support from our city to ensure that things are going well for our students that we're educating. And then lastly, I was just grateful to go to visit Atlanta and see our teachers and those that are representing our school sites that are receiving these distinguished awards, to be on the stage with them, hear them speak in a room with many other people across the country. Our district is always represented well. I didn't get to go to the Disneyland side of it, but I was grateful to go there, and it's just a blessing to be able to see those that are putting in the work receive those accolades. And I know you don't do it for the accolades, but it's nice when someone tells you you're doing a good job, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to be there with them. So thank you for that. And Dr. Flores, were you adding something?
I wanted to just piggyback on what Danny said, and also what Dr. Hill read in her inspiration. Our kids need to know that, we have very strong roots, very strong people that have contributed, not just inventions, but, from their hard work, their entrepreneurship, their creativity, many innovations that not just our kids of color need to know, but everybody needs to know. Just the simple things, of having a refrigerator, that changed our lives. Because I remember my grandparents talking about the guy bringing the block of ice, to put in the refrigerator, things like that. And even, those flaming Cheetos, right? It was a janitor, a Latino janitor, that created that. He's now vice president of Frito-Lay. We need to know those stories of everyday people who have contributed to our welfare. And I think through the African American History Bee and the Latino History Bee, those are starts. We should include our other ethnicities as well. I think that a good start for us. I wanted to share this book. Dr. Marson, can you? I'm a reader, and this is a new book by Christine Sleeter, Dr. Christine Sleeter, and Dr. Miguel Zavala, Transforming Ethnic Studies in Schools, Curriculum and Pedagogy and Research. And I shared it with Dr. Mitchell And so, we need knowledge to help us in terms of growing our ethnic studies. And we're starting, but I think we need to focus on being better and knowing more. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. We are now at 9.2, Superintendent and Staff.
Thank you, Madam President. First, just like to take a moment to recognize the students of Kimbark Elementary School for doing their part to make a real difference. Our students held a coin drive raising more than $363 for the World Wildlife Fund to help in the aftermath of the Australia fires. Kimbark students also completed 1,000 acts of kindness as part of the Great Kindness Challenge. Kudos to Principal Mario Jaquez and our wonderful students at Kimbark Elementary. And then next, I wanted actually to turn the microphone over to Dr. Volkemer to compliment some of our students in the academic decathlon and the African American History Bee. So,
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. Board, you've already covered the record turnout at the African American History Bee, so I won't recount that. But I will say that a couple Fridays ago, Dr. Wyatt and I were able to attend the County Academic Decathlon Awards dinner. We had 6 teams that competed this year from 3 high schools. We had San Bernardino High School, Arroyo Valley High School, and San Gorgonio High School. Each fielded a varsity and a junior varsity team. Our kids took home 12 individual awards. San G won the T-shirt design contest award and the School Spirit Award as well. But the highlight of the night was San G coming in 6th place. Not quite enough to go to state. They took 4 teams to state this year, but we were pretty darn close out of 43 teams that competed. That was a very, very good showing. And I want to remind the board that this year, through the LCAP process, you put $900,000 toward academic teams. And so we're in the process, actually toward the end of developing a strategic plan around academic teams. And it's starting to pay off. Not only did our teams, not only are the number of teams expanding, but the kids look great. Arroyo Valley had blazers with emblems on them. The kids at the African American History Bee had T-shirts and sweatshirts, and I got a text from one of our principals that said, "Please thank the board for the swag." So you're swagging it up, board. Good job. Thank you very much for that. It's very much appreciated. Our kids look good and they're competing, and it's a great experience. And then, as was just mentioned, I just literally printed this on the way down here this evening. The Cajon High School won their division's national championship. It was the large varsity show cheer, non-tumbling novice national championship. I have no idea what that means, but it's a national championship, and that's a good thing. So we'll bring them forward to celebrate with you. So thank you, board, for your investment in those programs. As we're seeing our kids, it's paying off for our kids.
And a couple more congratulations. Want to recognize staff recognition. Congratulations to homeless liaison Vicki Lee and her husband, Jesse Nichols, being named San Bernardino Black Culture Foundation 2020 Senior King and Queen. And congratulations to Director Tasha Doizen for being named the 2020 AXA Administrator of the Year in the category of Curriculum and Instruction. And then also want to remind the board that Indian Springs High School ribbon cutting ceremony for the Water Careers Pathway program in partnership with the East Valley Water District will take place Tuesday, February 25th. Board, please confirm your attendance with Karen Cunningham. We anticipate a large showing from our community. And then finally, I'll close with this recognition. One of our board members, and I'd like to congratulate board member Dr. Margaret Hill for being named a recipient of the AXA's, and that's Association of California School Administrators 2020 Retired Administrator of the Year. So congratulations, Dr. Hill.
Dr. Hill.
Those are all my comments.
Okay. All right. We are now at 10.1, so we're in the middle of voting, right? On this one?
Yes, so
Because we've already,
you would do like you normally do. The only difference is that at the beginning of the meeting, you pulled the items so they're teed up for Karen to help you with that
Right,
piece. So the
but we didn't
only item
pull
you pull is
anything.
1025.
did we pull one?
Yes.
Okay,
Item
10,
1025.
1025,
where
okay.
Mr. Gallo will recuse himself
Okay.
with the agreement with technical employment trainees.
Wait, would you please leave the room? So we're going to,
You're going to vote first, and then
Right, okay.
you'll consider item 10.
all right.
Move to approve the consent agenda minus item 10.25.
All right, it's been moved and properly second. No discussion. Let's vote. Ooh, it's there. All right, motion carried. Now, 10.25, right? 10.25, Mr. Gallo, if you could please excuse yourself.
And Mr. Gallo is recusing himself since he is a board member for the Technical Employment Training Incorporated.
All right. Yeah, it's there. All right, he's gone. Bye-bye. All right, so we revote. I need someone. Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Let's vote.
Hold on, I do have a question.
Discussion.
Discussion. I was pulling this and wanted to find out how, with this type of training, is this something that, did it go through our normal process for career pathways, or how was this selected? Because they're going to be providing training for existing greenhouse. Is this for something that's already, it's established, or is this something new?
Yeah, I'll let Dr. Mitchell speak to that item specifically, as most knowledge of it.
So this is actually Dr. Perez's item, but I'm a little bit knowledgeable of it. It's to support our pathways at San Andreas around the agriculture pathway. And so this is to provide support to the teachers and staff over there during the, what do we call it?
Growing Hope. Physical? Growing Hope?
Growing Hope program.
But the question too, I think, was this something we had seen prior and it's just now come? Because Ms. Medina, I asked that before because we just did this a couple of weeks ago and they
Right,
kind of
that's-
came in.
This is the
So
same
we just
one.
want clarification.
Yes,
I
so
think there's
this
several
was
contracts now that
previously-
we have then, I believe,
Right.
or what is this?
was this is my understanding.
Sorry, I
It was
can't hear you.
previously approved. This part was the training of the equipment around using the equipment in the greenhouse, but it was pulled out separate from the greenhouse, but the board had previously approved the entire.
I could hear a little bit, but I know that.
I'm sorry. My understanding is this was previously approved as part of the greenhouse, but it's a separate contract, and so it's being brought to you separately. So the total was included in the amount the board had previously approved.
And so it's a ratification, so specifically for ratification, so then.
It says ratification. I talked to Ms. Love today, and she's out of district. She said it probably shouldn't have said ratification because it was part of something that was already approved.
Money was approved.
Yes, the money.
It's a substantial amount, and I also, when you look at other items, it's a substantial amount for doing that. That's from December 19th all the way through June, effective all the way through June 30th, 2021. And so I just want to make sure that these are not necessarily additional stuff because typically what career pathways, they go through the department. And I know that in some cases, we'll have special presentations, they'll come up and then they'll ask for money, and they don't go through the process that everybody should be going through the process. That's all I'm saying, is that as this would be an example, that this should definitely, if there's another contract or something similar, they should go through the district's process like everybody else. That's all I'm
But
saying.
this was, my understanding, previously approved by the board. It was separate because it was around the training of the equipment in the greenhouse, and the greenhouse overall was approved. So this was brought out separately,
Okay.
it was something the board already approved.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify some of that.
Dr. Hill, did you have a question? No, you had a question? Did you have a comment or no? Okay. Okay, and I agree with you, and that's why we get concerned. We know this is a ratification, but it's so hard for us to remember back. So then it comes back and we're trying to we're trying to have some continuity so it doesn't look like, this one's getting approved this way and the others are not coming through the same process. And I know that's been your concern as well as mine, Ms. Medina. And so when I saw it again, I couldn't remember, but it was something about we approved it before and now the item is being chopped up a little bit. And if we can be better at that, I know we've talked about ratifications, they will happen, but it's a lot less, we can have better continuity if we see it, how we've approved it, and then we don't have the second guess. Dr. Hill?
On second thought, I do, because I had a concern also about 1024 and 1025 because of the amount of funding going to San Andreas. And, even though that's one of my favorite places, I still want to make sure it's always fair. And so what I did talk to my cabinet person earlier today who gave me that information because I just didn't remember it all. So that's the reason I went to the president first to say there were some concerns. But once I talked to my assigned person, she was able to clarify, and then all of a sudden I said, yeah, I remember we had that discussion.
Yeah, but and I'm glad
Have you?
I'm glad you mentioned it though, because that was something I was going to pull, but since I wasn't here earlier to pull it, my concern has always been if we have other groups go through a certain process, and that goes with, because Sierra Club, the San Andreas and Sierra sometimes gets, they come to the board meeting with special presentation, or they'll have special items, and we tend to just go by that approval, and they kind of go around, and I just want to make sure that all of our schools are giving that same chance. That's all it is.
And I do support that. I think we should follow protocol, whether it's $1,000 or $100,000. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, let's vote. All right, motion carried. Mr. Gallo can come back in. And we are going to item 11.1.
So moved?
All right, it's been moved and, did you?
As
Yeah,
presented.
that's right. You do. Uh-oh, it's not even that late. What's wrong with us?
There was a long pause, so I just went for it.
Right. Okay, it's been moved in second. Item 11.1, the personnel report. Let's vote.
You just did.
Did we?
Yes. You
Did
were
pop
on
up?
11.1.
Do.
Oh, I didn't do mine. That's why. Sorry. Mr. Gallo, did you have one up there too? Okay. Right. All right, motion carried. 11.2, resolution of intent by the district to realign school boundaries for Cole, Emerton, and Fairfax Elementary School for 2021 school year. And I do
Thank
believe
you.
we have a,
Yes, thank you,
this
Madam
too.
President.
Yes.
And so not only do you have a correspondence, but, commenting earlier to Cabinet today that when I came into the district 8 years ago, I observed as we had issues around school boundaries, this district has had probably one of the most comprehensive processes of engaging stakeholders in the discussion that has helped, I think, this board be as thoughtful and kind in the decision-making process. And so with that, I'd like Dr. Volkermer to just speak briefly to this topic, and then he'll turn it over to other members of the team as necessary.
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. So board, you have always supported parent choice in programs and been staunch supporters of that. And if you look at one of the ways we get that done is through our lottery schools. And as you've known over time, Richardson and Rodriguez have always had more people wanting to go to them than we have spots for. And so if you look on your top 10, number 1 involves reducing or eliminating the waiting list for Richardson and Rodriguez. And so We met with the board subcommittee to share a proposal with them that would increase the capacity at Rodriguez. We won't know until the plan is fully executed whether it will take away the waiting list completely, but it'll put a huge dent in it. And it would involve a 2-year transition from Emerton students remaining at Emerton. So right now, Emerton is K through 3, Rodriguez is 4 through 8. In the 2021 school year, what we're proposing is that the third graders would remain at fourth grade. So no one will have to leave a school that they're at, but they'll just stay at Emerton. And then those fourth graders would remain at Emerton as fifth graders. And then over 2 years, that would allow Rodriguez to become a 6 through 8 magnet school only. Right now, it's fourth and fifth homeschool population. 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade are all magnet. They go through the lottery. The reason for a boundary change is that Emerton does not have the space or capacity to take all of those students back if they were to keep all of their 4th and 5th graders. So it requires, if we're going to be able to create that kind of space at Rodriguez to reduce and or eliminate the waiting lists, we would have to do some boundary changes to affect all of the students that would be at Emerton. And so unless there are any questions specifically about the intent of what we're trying to accomplish, it's really back to the board's number 1 on your top 10, and that is to reduce or eliminate waiting lists.
All right, Mr. Tillman?
Can we just ensure that throughout this process, that siblings stay together is a priority?
So we will exercise, and Dr. Marsden said it, Mr. Tillman, we have a number of procedures and considerations whenever we do something like this. If it were we always give a 6th grade option, we can give a 4th grade option, 5th grade option. We always keep siblings together. That's a number 1 rule. And then I want to speak to, if I could, just for a minute, Mrs. Betta Sakala is not here, but she and I have had discussions around transfer of staff, and we have worked together always on these types of issues. If we need to adjust a timeline or give a preferential treatment or some type of priority, we've done those in the past, and we would certainly do that now. And that's if anything comes, if it comes to that. So we're always very mindful of knowing that the best place for a person is the place they want to be. That's where they're going to be most invested in the work they do. We always try to accomplish that as best we can. So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Christakos to talk about a little bit of more of the details.
So the first action this evening is a resolution of intent to change boundaries. This informs the public that the board
Before you go forward, I also had a question and he forgot to ask me. So we've talked about teachers, but what about parents? Have we surveyed the parents, and are the parents aware of this possibility?
So part of the actions over the next couple of weeks is they have community meetings at each of the school sites and invite all the parents.
So the parents will be informed and they're going to have meetings?
And letters will go out to all of the homes.
So I'm calculating that there's about 4 classrooms of 4th graders that will be staying at Emerton.
We went and met with each staff. We met with Rodriguez and Emerton staffs last Friday, just to talk them through it, talk about what the process was, et cetera. And if I remember correctly, and Dr. Mitchell was there with me, I think they said they have 5 third grades right now. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So there's 5 third grade
5
classrooms.
third grade
So
classes
those-
right now.
But the 3rd grade classrooms are smaller than
Smaller.
the 4th.
So that would probably constitute 4 4th grade classrooms that would stay there.
Okay, so 4, and they have enough room there? They have enough
Correct.
for,
Yes. For the
okay.
first year of the transition.
And for the second year?
That's why we're proposing the boundary changes, because they would not have enough room.
They would not have enough?
Correct.
Okay, but that's their home school from Rodriguez. Is Emerton right next to Rodriguez?
Emerton is right, they share a
Across the
fence.
field.
They share a fence line.
They share a fence line. So all those parents that are 3rd grade and, so let me get this right. So the 3rd graders will be 4th graders. They'll stay.
Correct.
Those 4th graders are going to be farmed out, the ones that were at Emerton?
No, there are no fourth graders at Emerton currently.
No, for the next year.
No, the
When
fourth,
those fourth graders become fifth graders
they
at
will stay at
Emerton,
Emerton,
the Emerton kids will stay at Emerton.
correct.
Okay.
Other than those that would be affected by the boundary change. And that could be first graders, third graders,
Okay.
just from a capacity
So
standpoint.
then so what kids are you talking about then? Why would they be dispersed to Cole and Fairfax?
So, yeah, over 2 years, we're going to keep about an additional approximately 200 kids at Emerton. And that increases the capacity to accomplish increasing the capacity at Rodriguez to eliminate waiting lists.
Yeah, I
Emerton-
get that. I get that.
Emerton cannot, does not have the enough space to house all 200 of those kids. So that's why we're proposing the boundary change, to take some of those students.
Dr. Flores, so just make it easy. After 2 years, Rodriguez will no longer have fourth and fifth grade.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm concerned about the Emerton kids having to go to Cole and to Fairfax. That's a long distance.
That would become their new home school. When you change boundaries, it
No,
becomes their
but
new home
that's a
school.
long ways from Emerton.
Not all the students, though. Remember, they're gonna change the boundaries in such a way so that students closer to the other schools will go there. That's the way it usually works.
If you'll let Mrs. Christakos move forward, she actually has the boundary maps, I think, for you.
Okay.
If you,
I'm just thinking of the parents, that's all.
if you take a look at the BC, the first map that's attached shows the current elementary school boundaries. And then if you go to the second attached map, you'll see the proposed Emerton and Cole boundaries. So we keep, no one's crossing over Highland or Baseline major thoroughways. And can you see the difference where Cole just moves to the left a little? Just so these maps will be blown up quite large for those community meetings. And then the third map shows Emerton and Fairfax. So that is how the boundaries will be shifted, and those communities will see the large maps, and each home will be contacted.
And we will still have community input as well. We'll have an opportunity for parents and community to input.
So tonight's action is the resolution of intent to change boundaries. The resolution informs the public that the board intends to consider and approve the boundary change via a second action at a public hearing, which is scheduled for our next board meeting on March 3rd. Between this time, community meetings will be held at one of the affected school sites to explain the changes, answer questions, gather public input. The site administrators, as well as representatives from responsible district departments such as facilities and transportation, will be present to respond to any questions. And also, the attendees will be informed of the upcoming public hearing at the March board meeting.
Okay, any other questions regarding the resolution?
Make a motion to approve the intent.
All right, Mr. Gallo moved.
I'll second that.
Ms. Abigail, seconded. All right, let me go ahead and read the first section. Be it resolved that the Board of Education adopts a resolution of intent to realign the school boundaries for Cole, Emerton, and Fairfax Elementary Schools for the 2020-2021 school year, and then the rest as presented and drafted in our agenda.
Just a point of clarification, this is only to proceed with, what is the motion?
The motion is the intent to realign
The intent to realign?
school boundaries for Cole, Emerton, and Fairfax Elementary Schools for the 2020-2021 school year.
Does this mean that it's going to happen, or are we still going to take another vote?
No, that triggers, that simply triggers the investigation, evaluation, public hearings, et cetera.
But we'll have another vote,
March 3rd.
Yes.
March 3rd, okay.
Which will be a public hearing.
Because I would like to know what the parents say before I vote.
And as a reminder, there will be 2 parent meetings before the March board meeting as well.
Could we know when those are going to happen? Because
But
I'd like
it'd be
to
our
attend.
pleasure to invite you.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Hill?
Thank you. My question, as you do this realignment, some of the students from Emerson might have to cross Victoria, which is not only really busy now, but it's going to be busier as Caltrans, they're going to end a freeway in that area someplace for those who are going to the casino. Going to drop them off on Victoria. I don't know how soon that's going to be, but I hope it's something that we can get information from somebody to kind of share with the parents, because that's going to be a busy street. And I got a feeling some of those kids leaving Emerson might have to cross Victoria. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Hill.
Or let's go ahead and do a verbal vote if we could, please, on this one.
We'll start with, there we go.
Yes.
Abstain.
Gallo?
Aye.
Aye.
Then aye for myself. Madam President just walked in. Want to vote on this one? No, it's verbal. We would move forward. Get those? Okay. Dr. Flores is abstention.
We are now at item 11.3, 2020 California School Board Association Delegation Assembly Election. Yes. So the official ballot for the election of the representatives for CSBA's Delegate Assembly has been received and must be returned on or before March 16, 2020. Because of our large student enrollment, the San Bernardino City Unified School Board appoints 2 representatives. Currently, Gwen Dowdy Rogers is serving a 2-year term, and it expires March 2021. Dr. Scott Wyatt was appointed to replace Barbara Flores during the San Bernardino City Unified School District December 10, 2019 board meeting. His 2 terms will expire March 2022. In addition to these 2 appointments, there are 11 vacancies in San Bernardino County, Subregion 16B. The board as a whole may vote for no more than 6 representatives. The following individuals are candidates for those vacancies. And I believe that you all can see them. Can you see them there?
But we're not voting for all of these, right?
We select 6, right?
But who selected these 6?
Wait. In addition, there are 11 vacancies. No, each district, I believe, is that how it works, gets to vote on? Go ahead.
The CSBA takes nominations for these, and so they send them out to every division, and then I think there's 11, and then you guys get to choose 6, up to 6. You don't have to choose 6. And then that's what I send in to them so they know who, every district votes for.
And Madam President, Redlands Unified School District nominated me
Okay,
to represent us.
so we have,
But the thing is, I see that Redlands Unified School, is he the one that came to our school board meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so I would nominate not to include him in it.
is that person on here?
And then
Where am I
I definitely
looking?
want to nominate Dr. Flores.
Okay.
Because that's 2.
No, that was 1.
You did 2.
No, I said not to.
No, you said Dr. Barbara Flores. He said William So.
Okay.
Wilson So, I'm sorry. Wilson So.
I would nominate Barbara Dew.
Okay, that's 3, Barbara Dew.
And also Christina Cameron Otera.
And Cindy Gardner. Very dedicated.
Is that 4?
We're at 5.
Do we have to pick 6?
No, you do not have to pick 6. You can pick up to 6.
Okay.
So,
So we have, I'll repeat them. Cindy Gardner, we have Wilson So, Barbara Dew, Barbara Flores. Did I miss one?
I think you mentioned Christina Cameron.
Christina Cameron Otera. Okay, that's 5.
and I would suggest we just pick them. That way you can give them a little bit more opportunity. You don't have to necessarily pick 6. Are we voting on this? So I could say so move?
So we're
And you will have to do a verbal voting. We've got an error on the
Yeah.
automated
I make a
system.
motion to approve the 5 names that were named.
motion. Is a motion and a second? Yes, Mr. Tillman. All right, let's vote. Mr. Tillman?
Aye.
He said no. No, we're Mr. Gallo? And Dr. Wyatt? Aye. Dr. Hill? Okay, Dr. Flora?
And I.
All right, did you capture that, Karen? Okay. Motion carried? All right. Yes. I think it's for it's the district vote. Either yay or nay. All right, 11.4, board ongoing initiatives and reports. Board. It's been moved and properly second. Is there any discussion? Let's vote. Item 11.4. Is it going to come up, Karen? Okay, we need to do a verbal. Oh, we're manual on 4. Okay. Mr. Tillman?
Aye.
Mr. Gallo? Dr. Wyatt?
Aye.
Whitten Rogers, aye. Dr. Hill? 11.4, ongoing initiatives and reports. Dr. Flores was an aye, and,
Aye.
okay, that's pretty good. Erin, do you have it all? Okay, motion carried, correct? 11.5, board top 10.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Let's vote. You keep going? Okay.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. 10 point, or I'm sorry, I'm going backwards. 11.6, board. All
So moved.
moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. 11.7, future agenda items.
So moved.
Oh, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. 12.1, staff review, board list results.
Thank you, Madam President. These are the follow-ups I have from this evening's board meeting. Number 1, to check to see if the LGBTQ training is going to be provided to subs and classified employees. Number 2, provide a formal report on the Latino Task Force. Number 3.
And the African American Task Force, both.
Thank you, Dr. Flores, for that clarification. Number 3, provide a formal report on our progress with reducing Ds and Fs. Number 4, have a discussion regarding the specifics of the TIG budget and the results from the TIG program. Number 5, report on our 2020 graduates by our high school principals, giving a projection in terms of who's going to graduate and who's not. And then the last one is follow-up on the crossing guard situation at Del Rosa, and possibly take that up at the next Education Bridge Committee meeting.
Dr. Hill?
Just the one on the traditional high schools, doing a report on their seniors, the status of their seniors.
Yeah,
I know you did D and F, but I don't know if that was the one that you wanted.
I said report on 2020 graduates. I'm sorry. I wishful thinking that they're already
Okay,
graduates.
all right,
So I've
thank
got
you.
it, Dr. Hill. Thank you.
Very good. All right, we are at item 13.1, adjournment of the board meeting. We will be going into a closed session, but we will not be reporting out. All right? Sorry. Okay, we will see you all at the next board meeting.
Madam President, congratulations.
Yeah.
8:20, 8:30, not quite 8:30. Thank you.